Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Project Slumber. Today, I'm going to be talking about the science and some information that I think is very important about the difference between night owls and an early bird and what that entails, and my personal experience and some information on that. Yeah, let's get into it. All right, so let's go into the information. So night owls versus early birds. What does that mean? Well, that just means some people have a tendency to be more awake or active in the nighttime. For night owls, like you do more work, you feel more productive during then, or versus early birds, you like to wake up early and you like to do your information, do a lot of work earlier, and you feel more energized and early. So as a high school student, lots of students like me tend to work later, and lots of people some people also wake up early to do their work. Sometimes when I get too tired at night, I tend to wake up early and I find myself very productive. But also sometimes I tend to get in this cycle of being very late. So we're going to get into why that happens, and some information describing what is important, what is good to know about that. So first thing is there's this thing called chronotype. So what does that mean? That just means your um, personal like genetically biological preference of being more awake at night or being more energized in the morning. And so that is genetically impacted by genes such as the clock gene, the PR1, and the PER3 gene. And this chronotype is 40 to 50% genetically determined. So that means some people are actually genetically, inclined to be more awake in the night, or, be more productive in the morning. Me personally, I find myself more productive at night actually, but that also has a thing to do with the teenager hormone. So like during puberty, there is a biological effect where you start to secrete melatonin later at the night. So melatonin is the hormone that makes you sleepier, while cortisol is secreted a little later in the morning. So it means when you wake up, you feel more drowsy, and this is just a common thing when it comes to puberty. But after that, obviously, it kind of relaxes up. So that is something very important to know as like a high schooler, as a teenager, as many people get in the cycle of delayed circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is just basically a 24-hour cycle. So for example, if you take a plane for example, from America to Japan the next day, your circadian rhythm will be disrupted by 12 hours, which means you might sleep and then wake up 3 hours later because your body still feels like it's in the US, where you're inclined to wake up in the morning. So that's why having your circadian rhythm being very balanced is very important. And that thing, this rhythm, which is very important, is obviously very significant on when you sleep and when you decide to wake up. So the later you sleep and the more you do this, your circadian rhythm will be pushed later. But if you sleep well early and then wake up early and you kind of balance it out, it will also shift the other way too. So I think one of the most important things being a high school student, as an adolescent, or even just in your older age in general, is to have a very balanced circadian rhythm. And another point is brain alertness, and that follows this circadian timing, which is based off of this thing called prefrontal cortex efficiency, which peaks earlier in morning types and later in evening types. And while for the night owls, you experience something called um, social jet lag, which means when you wake up in the morning, you feel more drowsy, you cause reduced attention, slower reaction time, etc. I know everyone has kind of felt this. It's like this hangover feeling, simply because you just either sleep very late or you are predisposed to having this kind of like this kind of social lag when you wake up. Um, and so, obviously, as I said before, many people are predisposed. Many people are just producing this on their own based of their own actions. Um, I think overall, the biggest takeaway is to obviously balance your circadian rhythm. So if you feel like you do well in the morning, then try to sleep earlier. and build this cycle. And when you actually build this balance, you tend to feel more and more awake and, obviously more and more productive. So I think it's very important to balance that, constantly balance your sleep, balance your schedule. So don't do intense activity at night um, if you're an early bird, and obviously don't do too much intense stuff if you're a night owl, because that just means you are creating this deeper and deeper cycle of shifting your circadian rhythm. So overall, it's up to you. You need to figure out how your body feels. You need to find what the correct balance is, and once you do find the right direction, you have to shift your circadian rhythm towards that direction. So for me, I think that I work well during the night. That means I have to be productive during the night. And when I wake up early, I'm going to make sure that I have a good sleep schedule that pushes me to a circadian rhythm that balances that out. So, overall, guys, try to understand more of your body, your rhythms, your circadian rhythms, as well as your, energy during the night or the evening, because honestly, for every person, it's different. So, hope that was helpful. And all right, thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. Hope you learned something, and make sure to check out our YouTube and our social media, which is posted, on the screen. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.